This is a General Typhoon-Class nuclear submarine. It is the largest submarine ever built by mankind. It was also during the Cold War, the Soviet Union's strongest maritime nuclear strike force. Typhoon-Class full load displacement reached an astonishing 48,000 tons in tonnage. It is 27 times the size of the U.S.'s largest submarine, the Ohio-Class. Even more than the French flagship Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier. 6,000 tons more. It could be said to be a veritable behemoth in the water. In terms of firepower, the largest submarine must of course be equipped with the largest missiles. The Typhoon has a total of 20 missile silos. Can carry 20 or 39 submarine-launched ballistic missiles. Each can be loaded with 10 200,000-ton explosive nuclear warheads. Added together, that's 200 nuclear warheads. 40 million tons of TNT equivalent to World War II. 8 times the sum of all bomb explosion equivalents. Although in terms of range and stability, not as good as the Ohio-Class Trident missile, but in terms of explosive equivalent, is slightly better. The Typhoon-Class nuclear submarine is equipped with 160 crew members. They can stay submerged for up to 4 months at a time. Few other submarines can stay submerged as long as the Typhoon, performing tasks in a confined space for a long time. It is a huge test of the crew's physical and mental health. Therefore, it improves their living standards. The Typhoon is equipped with many recreational facilities. There is a chess room. The crew members can play international chess here. There is also a gym. You can run and lift weights. If you want to smoke, you can. Everyone can go to the smoking room together to have a puff. There is also a simulated 4D cinema and a small museum. Due to its huge size, the Typhoon even has a swimming pool. Swimming for a while can relieve stress. After swimming, you can take a comfortable shower and then have a nice sauna in the sauna room. This is unimaginable on other submarines. A total of 6 Typhoon-Class nuclear submarines were built. But after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia could not afford its high maintenance costs, and the money to upgrade a Typhoon-Class submarine is enough to build 2 new Bory-Class submarines. So they decided to focus on new submarines. The last Typhoon-Class submarine was decommissioned in 2023, fading out of the historical stage. But as a representative product of the arms race during the Cold War, the Typhoon still has many stories to tell. Welcome to Chris' military base. Today, let's build a Typhoon-Class strategic nuclear submarine. In the late 1960s, the mid-Cold War, the nuclear forces between the United States and the Soviet Union has become relatively balanced. Both sides have the ability to completely destroy each other. The number of nuclear warhead reserves has increased dramatically. It far exceeds the amount needed to destroy a country. This makes either side afraid to act rashly. In order to reduce the risk of nuclear war, the United States and the Soviet Union came to the negotiating table and formulated a series of treaties limiting the number of nuclear weapons. The nuclear race began to shift from quantity to quality. Both sides are looking for more powerful weapons. The United States also has a triad of nuclear strike capabilities. There are nuclear forces on land, sea, and air. But once war breaks out, ground airports and nuclear missile silos will be the first targets. It is likely that they will not survive the first wave of attacks. Only nuclear submarines can hide in the deep sea and serve as the last means of retaliation. The United States took the lead in upgrading their submarine forces. In 1968, Ohio-Class strategic nuclear submarines. After the Soviet Union learned of the U.S. plan, it also quickly responded. They assigned the task of developing new submarines to the Rubin Central Design Bureau for Marine Engineering. Began the research of Project 941 Typhoon. In the research plan, the required type submarines have their main operating area in the Arctic Ocean region, will not risk passing through Greenland. The waters of Iceland and the United Kingdom operate in the Arctic Ocean region, can avoid enemy attack submarines. The ice layer can also absorb the noise emitted by the submarine, making it more concealed, but this requires missiles to have a longer range to cover major targets within the United States. Dryas. The Soviet Union immediately began to develop new submarine-launched ballistic missiles. Requires new missiles in power. Cannot be inferior to the American Trident. Also has a good range. To increase the stability and ease of use of missiles, the Soviet Union decided give up their familiar liquid-fueled rockets. Began to design new missiles with solid-fueled rockets. But the Soviet Union's technology in solid fuel. The first 4 test launches of the new missile ended in failure, but finally took several years. They still successfully developed our 39 submarine-launched ballistic missile. Range reaches 78,300 kilometers. Can carry 10 nuclear warheads. Has excellent combat performance. But the cost is, the R-39 missile is huge. The launch weight is as high as 90 tons. The length reaches 716 meters. The overall size is 760 larger than the Trident missile. They built the world's largest submarine-launched ballistic missile. At the same time, the development of submarines is also in full swing. The Soviet military demanded the new submarine must be able to carry at least 20 R-39 missiles and can perform lurking missions for a long time. It must also be able to break through several meters of ice in the Arctic so as to float up and launch missiles. This requires a veritable deep-sea beast. To build a submarine that meets the requirements, the technicians racked their brains. Many difficulties were encountered in the early stages of development. They can only abandon the design concept of traditional submarines. The Rubin Design Bureau adopted a double-hull design. It's like connecting 2 submarines in parallel. Submarine main body. It consists of 2 large titanium alloy pressure-resistant hulls. There are 3 small pressure-resistant compartments connected in the middle. Crew dormitory, nuclear reactor, torpedo compartment, and most of the equipment are placed in these 5 compartments. The space between the 2 large pressure-resistant hulls can accommodate 20 missile silos. Used to load are 39 missiles. All these structures are surrounded by a steel hull. The outer layer of the submarine is also equipped with special sound-absorbing materials. Make the submarine more concealed. To drive this big guy, the Typhoon is equipped with 2 VM-5 pressurized water reactors, each with a power of 190 megawatts. The nuclear reactor powers 2 huge 7-bladed propellers, providing 750,000 horsepower. The propellers are hidden in the cowling. To minimize noise, they enable the Typhoon to reach a maximum speed of 725 knots. But to build a submarine of this size, the corresponding construction facilities also need to be upgraded. The Soviets specifically built 7 new shipyards for the Typhoon. The building area is huge. The roof can hold 6 soccer fields. Its height and internal space can easily accommodate a 20-story building. It took 4 years to complete. Launched in 1980, although the project started later than the Ohio-class submarine, it still entered service in the same year as the first Ohio-class. Unlike the difficult life expected by the West, the crew members living on the Typhoon have quite good living conditions. Not to mention the recreational facilities 7. Their meals can be described as quite rich, because they need to stay at sea for a long time. The Typhoon carries quite a lot of food supplies. All kinds of bread, beef, chocolate, and wine are available. There are 7 chefs on board. They work in 8-hour shifts, providing 4 meals a day for 160 crew members. The food is varied, can meet the needs of most soldiers. Caviar is standard here. Bread with caviar. Another shot of vodka, guaranteed to make you drop. You're still hundreds of meters under the sea. The living conditions of the crew are also very good. On the American Ohio-class submarine, 9 crew members share a room, living in a triple bunk. Each person's space is about the size of a coffin. But on the Typhoon, the crew members have 4-person rooms to live in. There are also cabinets and desks. No other submarine has such a comfortable living environment. There are 2 emergency escape pods on the Typhoon to prevent emergencies. The crew members will often conduct drills. When a fire or implosion occurs on the submarine, the crew members will take these 2 escape pods to the surface. But thanks to its double-hull design, the Typhoon is still very safe. In 1991, a training missile self-detonated in the silo. This explosion and fire would be enough to destroy an ordinary submarine. For the Typhoon, it can even return to port for repairs on its own. Although a submarine of this size is not suitable for close-quarters combat with other submarines, but the Typhoon is still equipped with 6 torpedo tubes, located in a separate pressure resistant in the bow, can launch various torpedo. Even if the torpedo compartment is destroyed, it will not affect the other functions of the submarine. The Typhoon has a considerable buoyancy reserve. In a fully submerged state, half of its weight is in the ballast tanks. These ballast tanks can reduce the Typhoon's draft, allowing it to enter the Northern Fleet base. At the same time, it can also provide the Typhoon with a huge upward force, allowing it to break through ice layers of about 3 meters. Why does the Typhoon need such a good ice-breaking ability? This is because many Soviet submarines are designed with have a common limitation. That is, poor acoustic performance, compared with Allied submarines of the same period. Soviet submarines are too noisy. They could even be detected before launching missiles. The U.S. military claimed they knew at all times the specific locations of most Soviet submarines. There are many reasons why the noise is too loud, but one of them is the lack of maintenance. For example, to insulate the noise, various mechanical equipment on the boat will be installed with buffer damping pads to avoid direct contact with the hull. But it is said that the Soviets would not often replace these damping pads. As time goes by, these dampers will age, leading to increased noise levels. So generally brand new Soviet submarines. In just a few years, acoustic characteristics may deteriorate rapidly. The Soviets themselves knew their submarines were noisy. They saw in use 7 a lot of methods to reduce the noise level. On the Typhoon, they would often shut down a reactor, even shut down the reactor's cooling pump to reduce noise. Ice layer. It is very effective for hiding the acoustic characteristics of submarines. It creates loud ambient noise, thereby covering the sound of the submarine, and mixed with the sounds made by underwater animals. The concealment of submarines will be greatly improved. The Typhoon is responsible for lurking in the Arctic Ocean, silently waits for when he is needed. In 1987, a General Typhoon went to the Arctic to perform a mission, staying at sea for a full 1 year. During this period, the crew was replaced once. The icebreaker sent the substitute crew and supplies to the Typhoon. However, the Typhoon did not carry out many lurking missions. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia and the United States conducted a series of talks, substantially reduce their nuclear stockpiles. In 1997, the Typhoon launched 20 or 39 missiles at one time. No other submarine has ever done this. The missile self-destructs in the air after launch. Economical and efficient way to get rid of these weapons that have reached the end of their service life. From 1996 to 2004, all our 39 missiles were destroyed. Without missile launches, the Typhoon had no place to use its abilities. 3 out of the 6 were scrapped. 2 were decommissioned and put on standby. Only 1 was refitted to test Russia's new submarine-launched ballistic missiles. In 2011, the U.S. and Russia signed a new treaty on reducing strategic nuclear weapons. The treaty will reduce the number of nuclear warheads deployed on bombers, intercontinental missiles, and submarines. From 6,000 to 1,550. Submarines, like the Typhoon, which can carry hundreds of nuclear warheads at once, are even less useful. Finally, after completing its test mission, the last Typhoon handed the baton to the Military-Class. It was decommissioned in February 2023 and waited to be scrapped along with the other 2 Typhoons. That's the whole story of the Typhoon. If you like it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If the likes exceed 20,000, next time we will build the successor to the Typhoon, the Military-Class nuclear submarine. See you in the next video.